To draw or not to draw? That is the question. If you want to draw a Shakespeare portrait with me, grab a black pen and a piece of white paper. Our drawing of Shakespeare today will be done with a pen and a piece of white paper. The techniques I use to make our picture of Shakespeare today are techniques that work really well with pen, and they're a little different than what we usually do when we draw with pencil. All right, so the first thing we need to do is make sure we make the head big enough. So I'm going to just put my hand in the middle of the paper, and that will start to give me kind of a guideline for how big I want to make it. So I'm going to put a guideline at the top of my fingers. I'm going to spread my fingers out a little bit, put a guideline on the side of my pinky and the side of my thumb, and then down here for the chin. All right, now I'm going to do a line that's going to be for his face, and I'm just going to make it kind of sketchy in case I need to kind of smooth it out or change it a little bit. So this is going to be the upper part of his head, and then we're going to come in a little bit here, in a little bit here, and then we're going to make a narrower area that will be his chin. Okay, the next thing is we're going to add some hair. And in a lot of the portraits of Shakespeare, he has what we call a receding hairline. So he's going bald on the top. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to just make a curvy line that gets a little thicker towards the bottom, and then it curves like this. And then I'm just going to make many, many skinny lines that follow that same curve, and this will eventually make his hair look thick and dark. All right. It's okay if those overlap a little bit. This is one of the techniques we use with pen and ink. It's the idea that if you draw many, many lines close together, then it starts to look like a darker shade. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is the other side of his head. So the hair over there is shaped just a little bit differently. So I'm going to come right here and make a line that curves like that. And then I'll fill that in. All right. Next, I'm going to add some facial features. Now, the first thing I want to draw is his eyes. And with a portrait, the rule is that the eyes are usually halfway between the top and the bottom of the face. So I'm just going to kind of estimate where the middle would be. I'm going to draw an eye on one side here, and these should be pretty big but not huge. And an eye on the other side, like that. Now, I'm going to add some detail to the eyes. So I'm going to put part of a circle in right here and over here. All right, and then I'm going to fill in with a smaller circle. I'm going to leave a white little space and color in the pupils dark black. All right, now he has eyelids that we need to draw. So the eyelids are going to be just kind of a skinny line here and here. And then the eyebrows are above that. So those are a little more angled and a little bit more hairy, so they have the short little lines. Okay, now the nose is going to basically start way up here by the eye. We're just going to draw this kind of a shape, and then the nostril comes here, and then a curve on this side. All right, then under the nose is going to be the lips, and so we're going to have a couple of pointy peaks on the top lip, and then that line in the middle, and then a line underneath. All right, now we're going to add in some shading for the face. And the shading we're gonna do is, of course, since we're using pen and ink, it's not gonna be how we would typically do it with a pencil. The way we're going to do the shading is we are going to use lots of little tiny black lines. All right, so the first thing is under the eyelid, we're gonna start making some diagonal lines. All right, those diagonal lines are going to start here, and they're just going to kind of go across the eye like that. And then we need to have some under the eye. Those will be a little curvy, and they start bigger and get smaller. And then on the side over here, I'm gonna make the lines under his eye a little more horizontal. And then we need a shadow on the side of the nose. So that's just going to look like that. And then underneath his nose, a lot of the pictures of Shakespeare have a mustache, some do not, so we're just going to give a kind of a hint of a mustache and some shading by putting in some lines like this and like this, so changing the direction of the diagonal. Okay, fill in a little more with some darkness on his lips there, and then underneath his lips, we're going to put in a bit of facial hair here. A lot of his photos, or not photos, a lot of the pictures of him have kind of a pointy beard. So we're just going to start filling in some facial hair that's going to come down to kind of a sharp point for the beard. Okay, then double check how it looks and see where you need to fill in. There we go. Okay, now, I forgot to put some shading under this eye, so that'll match the other eye. And then what we need is some shading on the side of his whole entire face. So I'm gonna start by way up here by doing some diagonal lines this way, all the way down to his beard. And then I'm gonna switch and make diagonal lines this way. This is called cross hatching, and it just makes it look like there's a shadow. And since we don't have a pencil where we're rubbing it to make it look like a shadow, with our pen and ink, we just do that cross hatching technique. All right, I'm gonna bring that down a little farther. There we go. All right, now one of the fancy things that makes us really know that this is a portrait from the 1500s is that Shakespeare often wore a very fancy collar. So we're gonna put one of those on right now. So first we're gonna go under the chin, and we're going to draw a curvy line that goes almost across the entire paper. Then we're going to draw a line that comes up here and connects to that point. And then on the other side, it's going to curve around from his hair and stop at that point. All right, so that's the start of our collar. Then the next part is that we need to decorate the collar a little bit. So I am going to add a little line here and over here, just following that same curve and across the bottom there. All right, now I'm gonna put in his shoulders. So I'm going to put one shoulder coming off the page there and one over here. And then we're gonna add some more of the fancy decorations. So coming down from here and here. Another one here. And there. Then I'm going to make some spiky, curvy shapes going up and over here. All right, and then on his shirt down here, we're going to make a diagonal line here and here, but we're using kind of a organic bumpy line there to make it look kind of lacy, and then go straight down. I'm going to fill in just with some more of these fun loopy curvy lines to make it look again like lace. I'm going to put in some buttons here, and then add a little over here. Okay. Then you can just add in more detail here if you want, or you can just kind of leave it. All right. And then I think the last thing I need to do is put a quote at the top. To be or not to be. That is one of his famous quotes. All right, happy Shakespeare Day. I hope you enjoyed drawing Shakespeare with me.